Hello, my name is Melvin Way. Welcome to my YouTube channel. This is a growing series, a pilot test for this California regional mix. It's a seed mix containing all these different flowers. I've grown California poppy before, so check out my channel for those series. But the rest are new to me. So the rest are white yarrow, sweet alyssum, cornflower, Siberian wallflower, garland daisy, Shasta daisy, farewell to spring, Clarkia, Lanceleaf coreopsis, Plains coreopsis, Chinese forget-me-not, larkspur, baby's breath, blue flax, spurred snapdragon, scarlet flax, perennial lupine, baby blue eyes, evening primrose, corn poppy, California bluebell, black-eyed Susan, and catchfly. So these are intended for full sun, and it'll take 5 to 10 days to germination, 65 to 85 days to flowers, and the heights vary from 18 to 48 inches. So it's a good mix. Unfortunately, I don't have a plot of land, which is really what I would need to fully appreciate everything that's in this huge seed packet. So this is what I have. This is actually a very big pot. I believe it's 20 inches by 20 inches. That would be perhaps the inner diameter. I'm not sure. I haven't looked at the dimensions, but I got these pots off Amazon. They have an internal water reservoir, so they can store a lot of water, and you can see this huge seed mixture in here. So I know this might be a disaster in the making, but I'm going to oversow, and I know it might be too dense, but I would rather do this and have good representation from all 19 flowers rather than have miss out totally on some of these. And my gut feeling is I'm going to miss out on some of these anyways because it's going to be too crowded. So I'm just going to sow a few hundred seeds in there. And yeah, I know like some might get eaten by birds, some might not germinate, things like that. So that's why I'm trying to be a little bit more liberal with my adding of seeds, because you never know what's going to happen. Like if you add just say 2 times 19, you're going to get maybe you're going to miss out on some of the flowers. And if you do 5 times 19, you might still miss out. So unfortunately, yeah, that's what happens when you have a seed packet with this many different species in it. Now you could go about identifying each manually, but I like to just put in very little time and labor investment upfront for these series, because if they don't work, then yeah, you just don't see anything on my YouTube channel. Like sometimes I will post videos of failures unless I have ideas on how to correct the problem and get things to germinate, and try it again later. But yeah, I'm just going to go with a modest amount. I have no idea how many seeds that was. Like, I don't know, maybe it was like 200 or something like that. So although this is a very big pot, yeah, it's certainly not enough real estate for this many species. So yeah, I just want to see what's out there. I don't have any preferences in mind, or I don't even know what a lot of these flowers will look like, except for the California poppy, which I know is beautiful, and I have 2 seasons of that on my YouTube channel. So I really have no idea what's going to happen. I do know that based on what the packet said, a lot of these can be, a foot tall, 2 feet tall, 4 feet tall, whatever. So that is definitely exceeding the size and capacity of this pot when competing with so many other germinating seeds. So this is April 2024, day 5. You could see there's a lot of germination. So it's just like the seed packet said, like I believe it was 5 to 10 days for germination. You're seeing a lot of that here on day 5 already. And for flowers, for these tiny little seeds, I'm growing all of this in cocoa coir because it doesn't have the same root rot problem that potting mix often has. It's a very slow decaying organic medium. So it's basically shredded up coconut husks, and that is very, very absorbent, very hygroscopic. It holds a lot of water. But when the sun's beating down on the surface of this soil, so to speak, every day, it can dry out the top layer very easily. So that's why it's important to just basically saturate water this whole pot, especially the top. Bottom cocoa coir, or the cocoa coir that's in the middle, it doesn't really matter at this point because the roots are just barely germinating and starting to work their way down there. But that will be important in the future, in the coming weeks. So it's just cotyledons everywhere. It's a cotyledon festival. There's really no telling like what any of these are. You'd have to be a real expert to identify each of the 19 species by these tiny little sets of cotyledons. And yeah, these don't even represent the final leaves in any way. So this is later on, day 22. You could see everything's about germinated. I know what the California poppy looks like, but everything else is sort of just resembles the green weeds you see out there in the wild. And I'm sure a lot of weeds out there that are native to California. And I think some of the seeds here are actually invasive but naturalized in California as well. So the corners dry out faster. That's just a fact of, life physics. So yeah, definitely when I water, I pay more attention to just watering around the edges, letting the water sink down there. So in order to get these to thrive, I have to water more and more, and water more deeply as well. But you could see the difference in heights due to the fact that some of these germinated first and have that first mover advantage. So it's let's see, there's a couple hundred plants out there. So yeah, I must have underestimated how many seeds I sowed in there. And there are also going to be seeds that, for whatever reason, they don't like the conditions and they don't germinate right away. But if you were to pull all these plants and keep watering, those would germinate eventually. So yeah, maybe, I don't know, there's like 500 seeds in here. Maybe it's more. I thought it was less. So yeah, as the days go by, you can see there's development. You can see one species is already on the top there, sort of generating flower buds and inflorescences. So I believe we're going to see flowers pretty soon, because it's almost approaching the month mark. And you can see it just gets dry in the corner. So you have some severely underdeveloped plants. But if you go just a little bit into the interior of this cocoa coir mass, that's where all the plants are biggest. So we have no way of seeing what's going on underneath the soil line and what the roots are like, but it's just one huge competition. And in my experience, when there's everything is packed together so tightly like this, eventually some of these germinating seedlings just die off and sort of disappear. It's like you don't really even notice it, but the numbers will thin out. So this is actually let's see, exactly 1 month after I started, day 31 in May. So it's springtime, and you can see there's a lot more development. You can see there's residue from salt. I'll explain that later. So sweet alyssum is the first to bloom. Those are these tiny little white flowers, and that took a month too. So it's not like it was super fast, but these are tiny flowers. So yeah, the white residue you see on the leaves is dried out Epsom salt. So I've been fertilizing my plants with Miracle-Gro all-purpose plant food, plus Epsom salt and crushed vitamins. So in this video, I'm not going to go too deep into the fertilizing and the pesticide applications and stuff like that, because this isn't a series that's going to be ongoing. It's just a pilot test. So basically the entire cycle of growth is in this one video. And towards the end, I'll cover in more detail some of the other flowers that I don't think I got. So by that, you can already infer that I didn't get flowers of all 19 species stated on the packet. So yeah, you can see a little flying bug there. Bugs are no doubt attracted to this, and on day 37 the camera is picking it up. Everything's a lot more lush and verdant. It's a much more beautiful darker green now, and everything is totally overgrown. What I'm worried about at this point is everything's on the sides is going to spill over. So that often also happens with just things grown in potting mix. So I'm using cocoa coir, so it's quite similar in that it doesn't provide that good of anchorage for plants, root systems. So yeah, many past experiences I noticed, yeah, in potting mix, things just kind of fall over. And I do have some very similar series, plant growing series from the past where I grew, California native weeds essentially, and sort of the same thing would happen. So, and in many of my series, in many of my pots, there would also be naturally seeded weeds by wind, and sometimes those weedy plants would lack structure too, and then they kind of fall over. So that's something you'll see in potting mix often, but you won't see that out in nature, at least not that often. So you can see there's a lot of sweet alyssum here, but it's not that interesting of a flower. It's just like tiny white little clusters of flowers. There are no variations in color, and they're not big enough to have a stunning visual effect. So at this time I was applying Bayer Bio Advanced 3-in-1 insect disease and mite control. So this is a pesticide that has fungicide effects, miticide effects, pesticide effects, etc. And since I'm not going to eat these, I don't care, right? I could just blast away with pesticide. But I actually didn't apply that much pesticide into this pot though, because so now it's May, day 49. I figured that most of these have native resistance to a lot of these pests and the fungi that are around here versus the fruit trees, which everyone likes to watch the fruit tree series, but those are by far the weakest. They tend to rot a lot and encounter all sorts of pest problems. So yeah, I'm interested to see what this mass of foliage will become. There's a lot of very, very interesting leaves here, and it's a pity that I don't have a good sized plot of land to test this out on. But yeah, so far it's sweet alyssum. Everything gets taller and taller. It's really packed in there. You can see some California poppy leaves that are just kind of rotten. So yeah, maybe it's getting too much water, or I think California poppies, it's kind of prone to fungal infections. At least that's my experience. But overall, it's not like it's going to die just because of that. But it's kind of unsightly to look at. So you can see there's a lot going on here, and I have no idea which species is which. You can see the California poppies in the background in that pot. So this is season 2 for my California poppies, and my intention was just to have California poppies flowering year-round. So that pot was also oversown with California poppy seeds, and like I said earlier, at a certain point, like they just kind of winnow each other out, and then you notice way fewer poppy plants than you did before. And then each pot, well, a pot this size, this is well, I'll tell you later when we see the flowers. It's starting to bloom now. So it's May 2024, day 53. So you can see the sweet alyssum was the first mover, and I was already getting kind of a little bit bored with just seeing only that. And what you see here is, I believe this is baby's breath. It's kind of hard to interpret based on all these different pictures I saw online. You'd be surprised at how many online flower pictures are just like poor resolution, and So yeah, I'll go over that in more detail, but this is called baby's breath, and they also make like fake plastic bouquets of baby's breath. To me, like the tiny little flowers that are white are generally not too interesting. They complement other flowers well in a super bloom. Like let's say there's a ton of California poppies, very showy in orange, and then like you look down there in the pictures, and in the undergrowth you see stuff like sweet alyssum or many other like singular tiny little flowers down there. It's a nice complement. But yeah, you could have like nearly infinite tiny flowers, but it's not going to look like a super bloom. So yeah, there's already some kind of annoying bug that won't take the hint, and it's really hard to focus on them with the camera when they're so tiny like that. But yeah, these look like whatever they are, they're going to get real tall and have hopefully a very showy display. And I really like this plant here. It has very attractive stems and leaves. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens later on. But yeah, everything's getting taller, and you can see the ones that are destined to be 2 to 4 feet tall, they're starting to take over the pot. And what I think is going to happen is everything is going to, on the sides, is just going to spill over. And it's actually kind of awkward to water this because there's really no gap in which I can safely just point the shower nozzle for my hose in the front yard and just blast downwards. So see, I don't understand what this is that we're looking at. Is it just is that just a feature of the plant, or is it some kind of webbing? I think it's just a feature of the plant. It seems to have these silky strands. So it's 2024 June, day 67. It's looking very unsightly now, but you can see there's inflorescences. You can see there's flower buds. You can see a lot more baby's breath, but it's not as dense as it's shown in some example pictures online. But yeah, it's just to me, it's just a more, it's a taller, more advanced version of sweet alyssum. But I actually like the tiny little clusters of sweet alyssum. It's see, these are more organized and compact, and I mean, yeah, there's a little bit of color in the center, but overall, it's just the same thing over and over. And then that looks like a little cluster of catchfly. So I'll show you better examples later. So there's a bee. So yeah, like there are honeybees and native bees and all sorts of like flies and bee flies that keep stopping by here. So yeah, this cluster of baby's breath just completely fell over. And back then, my lemon tree was barely starting to resurrect. And there you can see a weed in the corner of the pot there. So yeah, we have several of these. It's a lot easier to identify these by the flowers, but yeah, I'll go over that later. But yeah, the foliage doesn't look too good. It's just it's very stringy at this point, and the pot's like super overcrowded. So my impression is all these flowers that look like this, I know this isn't in perfect focus, are called spurred snapdragons. So I believe that's what these are as well, because I looked up spurred snapdragon. I looked up all of these flowers, and some of them have different color varieties. So you never know what you're going to get in these kind of seed packets. And then this California poppy shriveled. So you can see this is water deprived. The foliage, I don't think, is meant to just kind of be drooping like that. So yeah, it was hard to tell like how much I should water, and based on what I showed you earlier in this video, where the California poppy leaves were looked like they were starting to rot, suffer from some kind of fungal infection, that was like a signal that says you're watering too much, right? But I mean, you look at some of the foliage here, and there's clear hints that they're dehydrated, these plants. So yeah, we have a lot of height here, but this is probably at its ugliest phase because a lot of them haven't flowered yet. So yeah, we're just looking at this weedy overgrowth where things are starting to spill over. So this is 2024 June, day 75. You can see there's a lot more baby's breath. It looks better now. And we do have some newcomers around here. So this is, I believe it's Clarkia. This is the California poppy. So I'll show you a better example, better zoom in later on of the Clarkia genus. Actually, there's 2 flowers in the seed packet that belong to Clarkia. So these are the first cornflowers. So later on, it took me a while to differentiate and do research on all these flowers, but there are different color variations included in the seed packet too. So every time I saw something with different color, I'd have to pause the footage and do some more analysis. So that actually took a ton of time. So catchfly is something that I talked about earlier. That I think was just a cluster that hadn't expanded yet. So this is Clarkia delicata. It's only referred to by its genus name, Clarkia, on the back of the seed packet. So it's an attractive flower. It does have that very delicate look. It does seem like something where if you were to rough it up, you'd break some of those flower petals off. So these are cornflowers. We've got a violet one, purple, and we've got white ones as well. So yeah, these are attractive. It's a very atypical flower. It's not something that really resembles many of the other flowers that you typically see out there. So I think some of these flowers appear on places like the Carrizo National Plains Monument, further north of where I live. I think that's north of Los Angeles, and it takes a lot of driving to get there, but they do have some pretty beautiful wild super blooms. And these are Chinese forget-me-not flowers. It's very intriguing. It's a very beautiful flower, but they're small, kind of like the sweet alyssum, but I'm interested in potentially buying a seed packet of this and just growing it very densely. It seems like the plants are small, which makes it better for just growing a dense mat of them. Maybe that could be very beautiful. So obviously it's a memorable flower, otherwise nobody would call it forget-me-nots. So yeah, we've got always kind of overshadowed by the baby's breath, but we've got some other things growing now. And yeah, it's kind of leaning on that pot with recovering lemon tree. And you can see in the center, it's like I said, you wouldn't think it at first, but after a while, it just kind of thins out on its own. And like there were probably like 500 seedlings, right? Or at least it seemed like that. And now the number is far reduced. It seems like it's 100, less than 100. So that's just what happens. Some of them just, I don't know what happens. They wither away out of sight, and you just never see them again. So yeah, you can see on the flanks it's overshadowed by baby's breath. That is seems to be kind of a droopy plant, and it doesn't bloom in the center. In the center, all we have is like a bare patch, flanked by a ring of the 4-footers, or the plants that can grow up to be 4 feet tall. So yeah, it looks like kind of an eyesore, to be honest, compared to the California poppy plant, the planter that I have in the background there. And then you can see one California poppy here, but this is by June. It's day 80. So yeah, California poppy, I think, is still number one in my heart. But there are some really attractive flowers here, which I'll show you later. So these are cornflowers. You've got the ones that are sort of purple, sort of violet, and then you got the white cornflowers as well, which are nice. So it's just a bigger flower. It kind of looks like a wadded up tissue. So yeah, it's an interesting flower. Doesn't quite resemble anything else here. And Then you have all of these, you know, I'm sure with better growing conditions, I did use, you know, fertilizer that's good for flowers, but in better growing conditions, I think we'd get a much better bloom here. But based on the growing conditions we have, where it's so densely packed in, yeah, I'll discuss, you know, the excavation later when I ended the series, like what the root systems were like. So this is a beautiful flower. It's a garland daisy. I think there's two varieties of this. There's an all yellow one as well, but both are very beautiful. That sort of looks like a fried egg, or, you know, an egg that's, you know, sunny side up, something like that. And then you have all these cornflowers that just kind of fell off to the side. And there's actually two shades of these. There's like a light purple and a darker purple. So there's quite a bit of variety. So yeah, just a lot of genetic variety in this seed packet. So yeah, even though it's 19 species of California wildflowers, well, not all of them are native to California. It's some of them have 2 or 3 colors at least, from what I could tell. And yeah, the foliage is a real eyesore. So yeah, I already mentioned this Bloom Booster Miracle Grow. I didn't use it up until this point. I did use Bloom Booster Miracle Grow a long time ago. Maybe, I don't know, was it like probably closer to a decade ago. And then this is just something that I bought again recently for my California poppies. So yeah, if you just want to look at aesthetics and check out some interesting bumblebees, then my California poppy series, or the series for you on my channel. So whenever I water with this watering can, I'm fertilizing, versus using the hose wand. That's just for tap water. So now that the middle is cleared out, it makes it a lot easier to water, but the aesthetics for this pot are not improving at all. Yeah, there's flowers, but look at all this foliage. A lot of it's not, it kind of lacks turgor pressure, and all the stems on the outside are just kind of drooping, and then trying to correct via gravitropism to try to grow upwards again. But yeah, it just looks like a huge mess. So I felt kind of bad for my neighbors to have to look at this in the final weeks before I pulled everything. But I sort of have the same problem with the California poppies. You could see it up there in the upper right corner. They have a tendency to grow outwards and droop, which is something they do in the wild as well. So this is just tap water watering. So yeah, in the wild, when you get to about April, in spots that have received a lot of rainfall during a super bloom year, the California poppies, they fall and fan outwards, and the stems get as long as they do in that pot that you keep seeing in the background for my California poppy series. And then they try to correct by growing upwards. So that's actually the more unesthetic phase of its growth. Like the most beautiful part of California poppy super bloom is in the beginning, when all the plants, the stems are relatively short. And for a lot of those plants, they have a very short window to flower because of insufficient rain. But yeah, at this point it's already June in 2024, and you can see these beautiful flowers are Plains Coreopsis. I really like this flower. Unfortunately, it has a problem with drooping that some of the plants in the center don't. But I mean, we have some cornflowers in the center that that don't droop like this. So yeah, it's something I don't fully understand. I'm not fully able to control in terms of getting all my plants to be nice and erect. But yeah, for super blooms, for the California poppy, for that pot, it's still flowering in June, and then by the time I'm releasing this video, it's already the end of August. So yeah, I still have the California poppies flowering, and I just like prune a lot of the downwards growth and side growth away. And yeah, I'm sure the plants have rhizomes, so as long as you keep the root systems healthy, the foliage keeps growing and they keep blooming. So I think I've achieved my goal for growing California poppies nonstop throughout the year, because August is the hottest month in San Diego. So this is a lone farewell to spring flower. These are more plains coreopsis. So these have the burgundy kind of going all the way out to the edges. So there's a bit of genetic variation between the flowers. And this is also a garland daisy. It sort of reminds me of a miniature sunflower. It's beautiful. This is catchfly, so it seems to spread out a little bit more. It's very attractive. So we got some more white cornflowers here. So it's sort of like you know, a bouquet of dandelion seeds, something like that. Sort of represents that. But these white cornflowers are nice. Yeah, so I don't know if we're going to see any more variety beyond this. This is the overall, you know, just macro view, a few steps back. So yeah, we have a lot of variety here, but I'm also excited to discuss some of the flowers that we didn't get. So I had no idea at the time. But yeah, I really do like some of these. The plains coreopsis, like Chinese forget-me-nots, and then farewell to spring. You can see a cluster kind of hidden there right in the center of the screen. Farewell to spring is really beautiful. So yeah, the catchfly looks nice as well. Some of these really tall ones, the spurred snapdragons, I think, you know, in some of the demo pictures, they look really beautiful, but I don't think we have the right growing conditions here. It's just way too crowded, and they're getting crowded out. But yeah, the garland daisy, those are pretty good. And yeah, the cornflowers, yeah, I mean, they're nice to look at. And there's, of course, there's the sweet alyssum and baby's breath, but it's not like the type of flowers. Those aren't the type of flowers that I would want to try to plant in mass and have a synthetic super bloom of, because I just don't think they're aesthetic enough. So yeah, it's personal taste. You can let me know in the comments what flowers you prefer. So this is July 2024, day 91. It's a super eyesore at this point. You can see everything's almost fallen over. There's still a bunch of baby breath in its last days. Yeah, this is on its way out. It's a shame because these are so beautiful, the farewell to spring. So yeah, the garland daisies are really, really nice. I like those. And yeah, and yeah, we have some plains coreopsis, but a lot of these flowers, some flowers can be ugly on the way out as well. That doesn't seem to be the case with California poppies, but yeah, this is some more of these like daisies, kind of look like miniature sunflowers. So yeah, this is it's a nice flower for sure, and you can see there's still a lot more flower buds, but yeah, that one looks like really, really rough. So yeah, overall I would say I enjoyed the experience, but if you plant them at this high density, it's gonna look somewhat ugly past the 3-month mark. So I would say the seed packet was fairly accurate, because I think they said it can take up to 85 days for you to get all of the blooms. So that's about right. And I used to be a much worse grower. So like if you took some of my series from 10 years ago or beyond, a lot of those did not follow the timelines on the packet at all, because I was just like so behind. But this is about spot on. Like maybe I could have done better with the density, but I really just don't have enough real estate to be testing out 19 wildflowers at once. So, But yeah, I wanted to do this plant growing series to get an idea for, are there any other flowers that I'm really attracted to besides the California poppy? So yeah, I pulled out everything from this pot later. This is one of the last clips. The roots were all very shallow. So despite this pot having a reservoir and me sometimes watering it to the point where water is coming out of the drainage hole on the bottom. There's like one drainage hole for each of these pots near one of the bottom corners. I figured that there would be plenty of water for everything, but these plants never develop deep root systems. And based on my experience, if your plants don't develop deep root systems, then they aren't anchored very well and they tend to fall over like this, and you have a lot of problems. Stunted development. You can water and water and you'll notice that the leaves and stems don't have good turgor pressure. They don't have good hydration. And like I said before, like when I pulled out all of the plants and did a post-mortem, I essentially well, not a post-mortem, but just an analysis of the root systems, I found that, yeah, there's a lot to be desired. Like none of them had really deep, robust tap roots that went all the way to the bottom of the pot. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of plains coreopsis here, but you could tell like almost everything's dehydrated. So it's not as beautiful as it could be, but yeah, I would say plains coreopsis is it's a really nice one to look at, and the daisies. So here are some flowers I did not get. This is the post-series discussion. Siberian wallflower also by Sweet Yards. This looks like a nice flower because it sort of reminds me of the same color of California poppies, but I looked at various pictures of this species and it doesn't seem like the petals are as nice and lustrous as you can see in the pictures here. So this is something worth exploring. I didn't get that. Very disappointed. This is a lance-leaved coreopsis. So I got the plains coreopsis in great numbers, but I didn't get this. This is a nice flower, but I wouldn't say it's anything that special. Maybe this is what makes up part of wild super blooms in places like the Carrizo Plains National Monument. There's quite a few species there that are different from the super blooms we see here in Southern California, so in San Diego, where I am. So this is a blue flax. This is an attractive flower. You can notice a lot of the flower buds are kind of drooping, but it seems like the problem corrects itself. But you can see the 3 different images down there. Sometimes it's hard to know what color you're actually going to get in real life as opposed to just pictures. And like I said before, a lot of the pictures online are just terrible, so you never know what you're going to get. And it's hard to find good examples. Larkspur flowers, these are very good looking. So yeah, you can tell that I missed out on all of the blues. So I'm going to go over some other examples as well. Yeah, blue is it's one of my favorite colors, and it's kind of a rare color for flowers as well. So I was really hoping to see some of these. I missed out on quite a few species. Scarlet flax is really beautiful. So yeah, I really wished I could have seen this too. So I was missing quite a bit of color. I had no blues, and I had a little bit of, pinkish red, some of that catchfly, which is a gorgeous smaller flower that I would have liked to see more of. And this is one of these like native to North Africa and Southern Europe species that's naturalized throughout the United States. White yarrow, I'm sure I've seen this in the wild. This was one of the better pictures, so I had to scour the entire web to try to find some good examples. But yeah, if you can have like a monoculture of this and you have a ton of land to support plants that are, let's say, like 4 feet or taller, then this can look good. But if you just have one pot like that, even though it's a big pot, it's generally not going to look too good, I think. So these blue lupine or lupine, yeah, these can be attractive in massive numbers, such as on the Carrizo Plain or something, where you can just have a blanket of purple, like basically a purple paint spillage during the late months of winter, early months of spring, when there's heavy rainfall and a super bloom. And then these are baby blue eyes. Looks very attractive. You can see down there in the lower right, Nemophila at Hitachi, somewhere in Japan, there's a park where they just grow a monoculture of this. So that can be very beautiful. It sort of blends in with the sky, but I think I like maybe a deeper blue a little bit better. So yeah, I really enjoyed testing out the seed packet, but it was just a bit too chaotic. These are evening primrose. So yellow flowers. Yellow is a very common color for flowers. I'm not saying that these don't look good, but it's not one of the more interesting colors. But if you have a huge mass of this, it can perhaps be very eye-popping, very attractive as well, like that picture of the deer. This is a beautiful one. Let's see, corn poppy. So yeah, the center of the flower sort of resembles like a corn-like structure, but the flower itself is a beautiful scarlet red. So yeah, I really like this this flower. So I missed out on all the deep reds like this and the various shades of blue. So it's quite the disappointment. Here's a California bluebell, search image result, and you can see these are very beautiful. So it really sucks that I didn't get any of these. And you can see some of these are like seed companies in San Diego and so on, and some of these look more purple than blue, but either purple or blue or violet or whatever, they're all very beautiful tones. So you can see that they look really different in different pictures. And finally, I missed out on the black-eyed Susans. These are part of Southern Californian or just Californian super blooms. This concludes my pilot test for the California Wildflower Regional Mix seed packet. I hope this inspires you to grow some wildflowers from California or native to your region on your own. Thanks for watching.